Well, let's start today's class. Let me share my screen now and then we shall start today's class. Is my screen visible to you? Okay. So, let's start today's class. Okay. So, as we have already discussed in the last class that whatever the decision making we have discussed so far, well, that could be in a fully observable environment, could be in a partial observable environment. We were given with a certain information, some information. We were defining different functions, different probabilistic approaches and others. So, can you hear me? Okay. So, the fact is that we have discussed those things so far, but all the decision making, whatever we have discussed so far, what the policy is to be there, what the optimal action is to be chosen, everything was to be chosen only by a single agent. Therefore, whatever we have discussed so far was applicable for a single agent. Okay, it was the decision making, the entire decision making process was done only for a single agent. Now, what we are going to discuss today is decision making with multiple agents. And this is this does has another terminology, that is game theory. Okay, so decision making with multiple agents is actually game theory, because in any game, if you are playing any game, there are more than one agent or more than one player is supposed to be present there. Okay, so let's start it now. Now, the fact is that when we are trying to form this, that is, when we are trying to make that decision making with multiple agents, there comes two concepts. One is agent design. Another one is mechanism design. So agent design means what should the agents be, or what are the players, who are the players to play the game. Okay, and what should they do, and what is the mechanism design is what is the mechanism on which or following which. Hello, someone's microphone is on, please mute it. Please mute your microphone. Now, the fact is that agent design, in case of agent design, well, let's give an example of a very, very simple game. Well, that game, say for example, the name of this game is Two Fingered Mora. What does Two Fingered Mora do? Let's say it is a two-player game. Okay. So the agents, say the name of the agents are O and E. Okay. These are the two players or the two agents. Now, what are they asked to do? They asked to do either they show one finger or two fingers. This is the agent design, that is, these are the two agents asked to do this. Okay. Now about the mechanism design. What is the mechanism design? The mechanism of the game is that we should sum up the total number of fingers. Since they at least have to show two fingers, therefore either the total number of fingers will be 2 or 3 or 4. Okay. Now, if the total number of fingers is an odd number, then E should pay O that much of amount. Okay. O will win and you should pay O that much of amount. That is, if 3 fingers are shown, E is going to pay O $3. If some even number occurs, that is either 2 or 4, then O is supposed to pay E that much of amount. Okay. So this is the mechanism of the game. Okay. So for multiple agents, this is what we are going to define the mechanism. This is how we are going to define the mechanism. Then comes another interesting technique, another property, that is single move game. Okay. So what does this single move game signify? Single move game is that where both the players taking action simultaneously and none of them does have no idea. None of them has no idea about what the other player is doing. Okay. So for example, here there are, in the two finger Mora game, there are two players, O and E, and when O is showing his finger, he does not have any idea that how many fingers are being shown by E. Same is applicable for E. Therefore, they don't have any idea that what the other player is doing, and they are asked to play simultaneously. Okay. So now that uh, it is just an example of the game, and actually in real life decision making problems, there arises a number of scenarios where could be could be treated equivalent to that single move game. What are those? Like oil drilling rights. Okay. Then bankrupt proceedings, then product development, pricing decision, national defense. Everywhere we have to take the decision without knowing the policy or what the other or what our opponents are planning to do. Okay. What the other player is doing. Without knowing that, we have to take a decision on every vital on this very important issues of our nation. Now, in case of a single move game, the properties of a single move game is like that players or agent should be more than either equal to 2, the number of players or agents either greater than, if if you say it is n, then n should be greater than equals to 2. So at least 2 players should be present there in that single move game. Okay. And actions is what the players can choose. The actions is that the players can choose. So action can be chosen by the player given the number of options are there. And uh, and that is and the actions are to be chosen by the players. Okay. Now there comes payoff of the game. Okay. What is payoff function? Payoff function. Here we are going to say for this game, for the same two-fingered Moda game. Okay. For this two-fingered Moda, how we are going to choose it. Now, as we know, here we have the players. That is the players are, oh, there should be another. Yes. There are supposed to be two players. E and O. Okay. Here again, these two players will be there. O. O. So these are the two players. And they are given with two options. They can either choose one, E can choose one or two. Similarly, O can also choose either one or two. These are already valid. Okay. Now, what if E chooses one and O also chooses one? Then E is going to gain +2, whereas O is going to lose $2. Okay. This is the strategy and this is the payoff function. Now for 1 and 2, what is going to happen? Again, E is going to lose -3 and O is also going to gain +3. Here also the same will happen. A is going to lose 3 and O is going to gain 3. Okay. When both will choose 2, then E is going to gain 4, whereas O is going to lose 4. So this is according to the strategies and the given options. This is how the payoff matrix or payoff function should look like. Okay. So based on their options, this is how they are going to gain or lose something. Okay. So this is the payoff matrix for single move game or that two finger Moda game. Now, there comes then the strategy. That is policy in the game theory. We often called it as to be the strategy. That is policy in the game theory. Okay, we often call it as strategy. Now, if we have a pure strategy, that is, we are very definite that we what, or not we, that the agents are very definite that what they are going to do, and they are unbiased. Then that strategy is called pure strategy, and it leads to a deterministic policy. That is, pure strategy leads to a deterministic policy. Okay. Now, many games have some other strategy that is called mixed strategy. Mixed strategy. What is that? Mixed strategy is actually the agents here or the players here randomized the policy to select action with respect to the probability. Okay, so it is actually randomized policy to select action with respect to probability. Okay, so this is what is called mixed strategy. Now, let's say there are two actions, that is action A and action. In case of +2 and -2 is coming. Have you make the total? Have you did you know what is two-fingered mora? Mr. Norris, did you know what is the two-fingered mora? Him? Then whenever O is also showing 1 and is showing 1, the total is the summation of the fingers become 2, which is an even number. Okay. Now, once it is an even number, then E is going to gain +2 and O is going to lose $2. That is why +2 and -2 comes. Okay. Now, the fact is that in case of mixed strategy, say you are given with, for example, you are given with probability of P and action A and B are given, and some prior probabilities are already assigned. Okay. Then in case of mixed strategy profile, that is in case of say for in the previous example, the actions could be 1 or 2. Okay. Now, if we assign some probability P to 1, then automatically probability 1 minus P will be for 2, the action 2. Therefore, this is the mix up of these two actions, and or you can say that it is a mixed strategy. So then the mixed strategy will be given, that is, then the mixed strategy will be like P, it could be represented as P1 P1 and 1 minus P2. Okay. So this is how we are going to represent that mixed strategy. Okay. Or and there comes again another terminology, that is strategy profile. Strategy profile. What does strategy profile mean? Strategy profile is that strategy profile is that you are assigning or someone means before beginning the game, some strategy is being assigned to each player. So strategy profile means that an assignment of strategy to each player. Okay, this is what the strategy profile means. Now we are coming to a very popular game of game theory to begin to start the concepts of game theory, and that is called Prisoner's dilemma. Dilemma. Okay. Prisoner's dilemma. What is it? Well, listen carefully. I'm going to describe what does the game or what does the concept prisoner dilemma means. Okay. Say there are two suspected criminals who are kept in prison. Okay. Let the name of those prisoners be Alice and Bob. Now, these two prisoners are being interrogated by those officials or police officials in two separate rooms. Okay? For a particular crime, those are the probable suspects, Alice and Bob, and they are being interrogated by the police officials in two different rooms. Okay? None of them knows what the other is saying. Now the question that they are asked is that Alice is being asked the question that whether Bob has committed the crime. Now they already know that they will be given such rewards. What the rewards are? The rewards are, or the rewards can be described as follows, that there are the players, that is the players are Alice and here Bob. Okay. Now Alice does have two options. Either she can testify that yes, Bob has done the crime, or she can refuse that no, Bob has not done the crime. So she is given with two options, that is testify or refuse. Similarly, Bob is also given with two options. Bob can say that yes, Alice has done the crime. That is, he can testify, or he can refuse. Okay. Now, what are the rewards that they are going to receive after testifying or refusing? If Alice says that yes, Bob has done the crime, and Bob says yes, Alice has done the crime, then they both will kept in prison for 5 years. Okay. Then they both will be punished and they both will be kept in prison for 5 years. So the reward that Alice is going to receive is -5. The reward that Bob is also going to receive is -5. Now, what will happen if Bob says that, yes, Alice has done the crime, but Alice says that no, Bob has not done the crime. That is, Bob is testifying and Alice is refusing. Okay? Then Alice is going to be imprisoned for 10 years, whereas Bob will be set free. Okay? So Bob will not be punished, only Alice will be punished. Similarly, if Bob refused that Alice has not done the crime and Alice says that yes, Bob has done the crime, then Alice will be set free and Bob is going to be imprisoned for 10 years. What if both of them refused? That Alice is saying no, Bob has not done the crime. Bob is saying that no, Alice has not done the crime. Then both of them is going to be imprisoned for 1 year only. Okay. So this is how the payoff matrix of the prisoner's dilemma is being set. Okay. Now there comes very interesting, some very interesting properties along with this prisoner's dilemma game. Okay, what are the properties? Let us discuss. Now these are the prisoners. The fact is that none of them know that what the other one is going to say. Okay, therefore if Alice is clever enough, he will look into minimizing of his punishment. Okay. So what Alice will see? Alice says that if she admits that yes, Bob has committed the crime, that is, if Alice has chosen the strategies testified, the if Alice has chosen the strategies testifies, then will happen that she will either be imprisoned for 5 years or set free. Whereas if Alice decides to refuse, then Bob can testify or Bob can refuse. Depending on that, Alice either will be imprisoned for 10 years or for 1. Therefore, if Alice is clever enough and she wants to minimize her punishment, then she will choose the strategy that is testify. Okay, there that is testify here is that strategy that is strongly dominant to the strategy of refuse. Okay, so why? Because the outcome of the strategies testify is always better independent of what the other player, that is independent of what Bob is going to choose. This is why this testify strategy for both of them, testify is the strongly dominant strategy. It is called strongly dominant strategy. That is, what does then strongly dominant strategy means? Strongly dominant strategy means that strategy that is for which the outcome of the strategy for the player is always better than better irrespective of the choice of the other player. So it is that strategy for which the outcome of outcome for a player is always better than better irrespective of what the other player chooses. Okay, so this is called strongly dominant strategy. Comes weakly dominant strategy. That is, if the outcome of the strategy is better than better at least in one of the outcomes. Okay, say here refuse is the weakly dominant strategy, because here for this outcome for this one the outcome will be better. Okay, for at least one, that strategy is known as weakly dominant strategy. It is strongly dominant strategy. It is, then comes weakly dominant strategy. Okay, if the outcome of that strategy is better than at least for one of. So this is called weakly dominant strategy. Okay. Now there comes another terminology that is called Pareto optimum. That is, both the player or all the players that are present in a game are going to prefer that outcome. That is known as Pareto optimum. Okay, both the player will prefer. It is this one, refuse and refuse. That outcome will both of them will prefer. Okay, so this is called Pareto optimum. That is the outcome both players will prefer and no other such outcome will be. This is called Pareto optimum. Okay. So these are the basic concepts of game theory. That is strongly dominant strategy, weakly dominant strategy, Pareto optimum. Then comes if here for this game you can say that for Alice the dominant strategy is testify. For Bob also the dominant strategy is testify. If such a game is there in which for both the players there exists same dominant strategy, then that situation is called dominant strategy equilibrium. Okay, dominant strategy equilibrium. That is, if the dominant strategy for both the players are the same. Okay. So this is called dominant strategy equilibrium. Then comes a very, very important concept of Nash equilibrium. Okay, the concept of Nash equilibrium that we are going to discuss. Then comes the concept of Nash equilibrium. Now, the fact is that every game Nash equilibrium. What does it signify? That every game has at least one equilibrium. That could be dominant strategy equilibrium, could be something else, but every game should have some equilibrium. Okay. Here you can say that these are the two equilibriums. Here, this is dominant strategy equilibrium, and this is the weekly dominance strategy equilibrium. Okay, so dominance strategy equilibrium, you can say that every game should have some equilibrium. Okay, at least one equilibrium that game should have, and that is known as Nash equilibrium. That is should have at least one equilibrium. That is known to be Nash equilibrium. Okay, that is Nash equilibrium. That is where that place, it does not mean that the both here actually, if you see the payoff matrix, then you can't say that both of them have equal chance to win. Whatever the penalty for dominant strategy, that is for this block, when both of them are going to go for testify, then one player is looking just to minimize his punishment, his or her punishment. That is the goal, or that is how they're selecting their strategies. Okay, they are not going to win something, they are just looking to minimize their punishment. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that depending on their his or her own strategy, there will be the chance of the how much the punishment will be. Therefore, it does not mean Nash equilibrium does never mean that they have equal chance to win. It does only mean that both of them are going to reach such a solution where both of them are going to receive same reward. Okay, this is the fact. Now this is how Nash equilibrium works. Okay, now here in case of prisoner's dilemma, actually the dilemma of the prisoners, where does it lie? It lies that they does not know, none of them knows that what his or her opponent or what the other one is going to choose. Therefore, they do always are in the dilemma that what if what if they refuse? They know that if both of them refuses, they are going to have a very less penalty. Okay, that is both of them will get imprisoned for 1 year, but they will be afraid to refuse because they don't know whether his or her the other player is also going to refuse. Because if if Alice refuses but Bob testifies, then Alice is going to be imprisoned for 10 years. That is the fact that Alice will always look to avoid. Therefore, she will choose to testify. Same is applicable for Bob also, because he does not know what Alice is going to say. Therefore, he will choose wisely and he will also go for testify. Okay, to minimize their penalty. This is where the dilemma lies. This is where the fear lies. And with this psychological fact, we are going to design the game. Okay. How the outcome is better for one outcome in case of Alice refuses. I can't get your question, Mr. Manas. Can you please explain it a bit elaborately? Uh, it is -1 for both the players, but it is the best place where the punishment for both the players are minimum. This is why it is the Pareto optimum. Okay, punishment for both the player. If you are asking for both of them and which is the best for both of them, then this is the only solution that is the best for both of them, not for any one of them. Okay, that is why this is the Pareto optimum. Now, there also may be some game without dominant strategy. Say there is a company, some company who is a game designer. Okay, now that company has already designed. Now the fact is that there are two decision makers. One's name is Acme, another's name is Best. And there are two choices. That is, either they can select Blu-ray, they can embed the game into Blu-ray, or they can embed the game into DVD. So which one they should choose? Okay. Now this is a game. This is an example of a game without any dominant strategy. And which one they should choose? Let's see. There are Acme and Best. Okay, Acme and Best, and their decision could be Blu-ray, DVD. The fact the game is designed like that both of them are going to gain +9, say something. Now, can you say that this game does have a dominant strategy? Can you say what is the dominant strategy of the game for any player? Can you say what is the dominant strategy for the game? They are going to gain when they agree, when both of them agree on a decision. Otherwise, they are going to lose. If they both of them agree for Blu-ray, they are going to gain +9. If both of them going to agree for DVDs, then they are going to gain +5. Otherwise, they are going to lose. Therefore, there is no dominant strategy here in this game for any one of them. Okay. So this is an example of a game that does not have any dominant strategy. For any player, there is no dominant strategy. Anyhow, they are going to whichever if they are stick to one strategy, they are going to lose depending on the other's decision. Either they are going to gain or they are going to lose, and that is solely dependent on the other's decision. But if they do agree, yes, you are right. This game does have two equilibriums. Okay. So if they agrees, only if they agrees, then only they are going to gain. Otherwise, they are going to lose. This is the policy of the game, or this is the strategy of the game. and there does not exist any dominant strategy. Rather, there exists two Nash equilibrium, that is Blu-ray and DVD. These are the two Nash equilibrium points. Okay. Now, what is the Pareto optimal for this game? Can you say what is the Pareto optimal? What is the Pareto optimal? No, not any one of the equilibrium. That point that both the players should prefer the most. Both the players. That is this point. Blu-ray. Okay. This is going to be the Pareto optimal. Pareto optimal for this game is Blu-ray. Okay. So this is going to be the Pareto optimal for this game. There would be two Pareto optimal if the award value of Blu-ray was +5 +5 2. Then there will exist two Pareto optimal for this game. Okay. But since it is higher than this one, therefore this is the only Pareto optimal that this game does have. Okay. Now, here actually to gain it, to have some gain, both the players need to communicate between themselves. Okay. Otherwise, there is not high chance to win. The chance will increase if they communicate between themselves and they come to a single decision or the same decision. Then only they are going to. Okay. Therefore, the chance of winning of the game depends on the players either guess or communicates. If they communicates, they will certainly going to gain. Okay. So this type of game is actually called coordination game. If they executes a coordination game, then they are definitely going to win. That is communicating with other player. Okay. So this is called the coordination game. Now, if some game does have no pure strategy on Nash equilibrium, then what will happen? Okay, that is if what will happen if some mixed strategy is going to execute it. Is it possible? Yeah, it is possible. Here also there exist two Nash equilibriums. Out of these two Nash equilibriums, one is Pareto optimal. Okay. Now the fact is that if you make the reward value as +5 +5, then there will be two Nash equilibriums, and both the Nash equilibriums is going to be the Pareto optimal. Okay. You can choose any one of them. There is no necessity that you have to choose only one. You can choose any one of them if the reward values are, or at least, as we are always saying, that you have to communicate or coordinate the game, then at least you have to agree with each other, whatever the choice may be. It may be DVD, maybe Blu-ray, but you have to be agree with each other then only you are going to gain, otherwise you are going to. So now we are again coming back to the previous example, that is two finger moda, and how the strategy is going to vary. Okay. Now the fact is that since we are going to have the two finger moda game, let's change the strategies a bit. That is, for example, for two finger moda, we are treating E to be the maximizer and O to be the minimizer. Okay. How and why, that we are going to discuss. That two finger moda with mixed strategy. How we are going to play it. The two finger moda with mixed strategy. Okay. Now, what we are going to do, that we are going to decide the optimal policy, actually optimal strategy for it, and we are going to compute the payoff or utility of it with this process. Okay. Or at least the range of the utility. Now, as we know, let's start drawing. Well, this symbol stands for a maximizer and this stands for minimizer. Okay. Now, let's draw a min-max tree. Actually, to decide the optimal strategies, or to decide that what is the utility values, what is the utility values lies between, we actually do this. With min-max tree, we are going to execute the things. Okay. So this is the min-max tree that we are going to do, and this node represents minimizer, or this upper triangle represents maximizer and lower triangle represents a minimizer. Now we know that E stands for a maximizer. Okay. Now the way that we are going to play the game is that they should communicate. O and E should communicate between themselves, and E is going to choose his strategy first, and he should reveal its strategy to O. Therefore, we are being biased to O because O will take the decision based on E's strategy. Okay. To here it is going to be Just I am explaining. Just wait a bit. I am explaining why these are -3 and +2. -3. Oh. Now say there are two options for E. E can either show one finger or it can show two fingers. Okay. Now if E shows one finger, there is two possibilities for O that it will again going to show one finger or two fingers. If E shows one finger, then the value, the total will become 2 and E is going to gain 2 plus 2. Whereas if O is showing two fingers, then then E is going to lose 3, that is -3. O is again going to gain 3. Okay. Similarly, now E is showing two fingers and accordingly O is selecting her fingers. Therefore, here also lies two possibilities that O is showing one finger and it is gaining and she is gaining 3 and E is losing 3, that is -3, and O is showing two fingers and she is and E is gaining 4. Okay, so these are the possibilities. Now here, since it is a min-max tree, we shall set it like that for the sake of simplicity. We shall set it like that here O is here, which O is a minimizer, and here in this node E is here, who is a maximizer. Okay. Now if O is here, then we are going to take the minimum values from these two branches and we are going to have this minimum values here in this node. Okay. So here for this node, we are going to have a value of -3. For this node too, we are going to have a value of -3. Okay. And ultimately, we are going to have the value of -3 here. Okay. With this min-max tree, we are going to have a value of -3. So this is actually, this utility that we are getting is being represented by u of E, comma O. Comma O, and that should have a minimum value of -3. That is u of E comma O. Here whatever we have represented, that is u of E comma O, and should have a minimum value of -3. Okay. Here u of E comma O, or we can say that it is represented to be u of E comma O, and we can say that the value of the total utility should be greater than or equal to -3. Okay. Now, what if the other way it happens? What is the other way? The other way is that now Now O will choose her policy first, and then she will reveal it to E. Now, if O is going to choose its policy first and then it will reveal it to E, then obviously E here will be the preferred player, because depending on O strategy, E can choose his action. Okay. Therefore, this node is being a maximizing node and this node is being a minimizer. This is max min. And this is becoming a minimizer. Okay. This is becoming a minimizer. So now what will happen is that the leaf nodes are the same, that is these values are the same. Now these branches are the ultimately these values remain the same, because these are the same values that someone is going to gain or lose. But once you are performing a maximizing operations here, the values that you are going to have is 2 and 4, and this value will be 2. Here max operation is being carried out and here min operation. Therefore, what we conclude is that here instead of UEO, it becomes UOE. Okay. And here we can say that the value of utility should be less than 2. Therefore, from these two graphs, that is two trees, what we can conclude that we are discussing about the assignments, submission of the assignments later on. Just be focused on this part. Okay? So what we can conclude is that the values of utility should lie between -3 to 2. Okay. So the value of utility should lie somewhere in between the range. Okay. So now the fact is that here the same figure is shown. Okay. That I have discussed. Now, since this is a mixed strategy, okay, therefore we are assuming that it is that once for this game, that is for this game, O is being unbiased of whatever the strategy E is revealing, and it is deciding its strategy in an unbiased way. Therefore, for this, therefore for these leaves, we can write down that the for we can write down that with mixed strategy, it will become for this, if this is for choosing 1 and this is for choosing 2, again for this is for choosing 1 and this is for choosing 2 for of of O, then what we can write down is that it will become like 2 into, say, well, we are writing it here first. Here for O, we are going to write it down. Okay. We are going to write it down here, and let's say that there is P probability that O will choose 1. Okay. This is 1 and this is for 2. Therefore, the mixed strategy will be in this form, that is 2 into P minus 3, 1 minus P. For this these inputs, that is upon the fact that E has already chosen 1, this is the possibility of this 2 and 3 to occur. Okay. Now, if E has chosen 2, then what becomes the possibility? Then it is like minus 3P plus 4 into 1 minus. Okay. So these are the two possibilities of being chosen. Here it is for 1, P is for 1, and 1 minus P is for 2. Okay. These are the choice of O, that is either 1 or 2. Now, same is applicable for it too. Okay. Let O has revealed his policy, but E is again going to choose the strategy in an unbiased manner, and E does have the E does have the probability Q of choosing a 1. Okay. Now, how can it be represented? It is again 2Q minus 3 into 1 minus Q here, and it is minus 3Q plus 4 into 1 minus Q. So this is how we can represent the things. Okay. How we can write it down. Now, if you see these curves, these are the things, that is 2P minus 3. Here, muse might be some printing errors or something like that. The fact is that 2P minus 3 into 1 minus P and 3P plus 4 into 1 minus P for this two leaps. Okay. Same is applicable for this also. Now, if you plot this 4Q, no, it is minus 3Q plus, it is going to be minus 3P plus 4 into 1 minus Q. The things are going to be the same. Now, the fact is that if you plot it, what will happen? Okay. If you plot it, now, once you are going to plot it, that is, you are going to plot it for your payoff. The payoff depends on the probability parameters P and Q in the mixed strategy. Now, once you are going to plot the utility, what will happen? It will follow this curve. Okay. And we can see that this is the curve and this is the curve. Okay. That is, minus 3p to, if you see 2p minus 3 into 1 minus p, that is equivalent to 5p minus 3. Okay. Now for 5p minus 3, we should plot a curve, and also for 4 minus 7p. Here it is equal to 4 minus 7p. So for 4 minus 7p, there is going to be another. Okay. And these are the two curves. The point it intersects is that point, or it could be treated as the base point when both of these are equal. Okay. Therefore, here if you compute the value of P where these two lines intersects, the value of P that you are going to get is equal to 7 by 12. You can solve the equation and you can have the value of P here. Okay. The point it intersects is equal, the P is going to be equal to 7 by 12. If you assign 7 by 12, the value of 7 by 12 P, and if you compute UEO, that is UEO is going to be then equal to minus 1 by 12. That is, if you solve it for P equal to 7 by 12, the value of this or this is for any one is going to be equals to minus 1 by 12. The value of U is going to be equal to minus 1 by 12. Similarly, if you solve it and if you're going to get the value, you will get the value of U O comma E also equals to 1 by minus 1 by 12. Therefore, you can say that the value of the utility is going to be equals to minus 1 by 12 for this entire game. Okay. The value of the utility of the game is going to be actually equals to minus 1 by 12. If you solve it, you can easily get it. Okay, these are the equations. You can say these are the equations. Here there are some mistakes. Don't get confused with these equations. You should see these ones because these are correctly written. Okay, these ones. Okay, quiz. Yeah. So this is the value of utility that you are going to get. So this is all for today's class, and in the next class there will be only one class, and that will be without quiz. In the next Saturday I am going to conduct the class, and that is going to be the last class. Therefore, if you have any doubts and queries, please ask in that class. Okay. Now let me discuss the quiz first. Now, the first question was, in MDP, first order Markov model means that future is dependent only on the current state and only current, past, and the present. Okay, it is a Markov model. Then what is POMDP and how it differs from MBP? That I think you can write. I have already discussed that why it is partially observable, what are not unknowns to here, what are unknowns here, and how does it differ from conventional MDPs. Okay. Now, which of the followings are correct? Actually, all of the options are correct. Uh, Future is dependent on the current, past, and present. Future is dependent on the current, past. Yes, it is for second order MDP will be. Okay, anyway, I shall modify it. Okay. So it is, how does it differ? Then consider the following statements about for POMDP, all are valid. That is, POMDP can be used to all these options are valid actually. Now, what is the role of the sensor? That also you know. That is, we only perceive the evidence. We are only perceiving the evidence with the sensor. Now describe how COMDB decision cycle works. That I have also discussed in the last class. Now the difference from the dynamic decision network, different form of dynamic decision networks include all these three. That is a factor present of ABP, then and the extension of a decision network and extension of dynamic belief network to include actions and rules. So all of these are should be valid. Here, the policy iteration and value iteration have the following features. That is, policy iteration includes policy evaluation and policy improvement, whereas value iteration includes finding optimal values plus one policy extraction. So, these are the solutions of the quiz. And if you have any further doubt, you should ask me. So, that's all for today. If you have any further queries or doubts, you are free to ask me. You can mail me also. So that's all. Okay. We shall then meet in the next week. That is not a regular class, but that is an extra class that I am going to conduct. And okay, discussion on next assignment. The fact is that, well, the fact is that I am going to, actually, I have assigned 10 days. I have given you 10 days for that assignment, and the last date of submission is on 21st. Why I have kept it as 21st is that on 21st, I am going to provide you another assignment, that is the second assignment, and the deadline for that is supposed to be till 1st. Anyhow, I am going to upload the second assignment on 21st, but if you really need some extra time, then the time is going to get overlap with the second one. Is it okay for you? Then I shall extend. Hello? Okay. So I can extend, but till within first you have to complete the second assignment too. If that is okay with it, okay, yes, I know that you have exam on 31st and 1st. That I know. But second assignment, well, then I can extend the timing of the second assignment a bit. But the fact is that I have to finish up the evaluation also before the second fractal starts. Therefore, what I was planning that I shall take all the assignments by first, and then I shall complete my evaluation, and I shall finish my part on this course. Okay, so okay, then let me extend the timeline. I am extending the timeline till 25th. It is up to you. And after that, I am going to upload the second assignment, and I can give max to max 7 days for that second assignment. Okay, not more than that. Okay? So, well, I shall put less questions on the second assignment. I shall try to keep the second assignment a bit light. Anyways, that's all for today, and if you have any other issues, you can ask me or you can consult with me. So that's all for today. Okay. Okay, I shall upload the second assignment on 21st. Okay, thank you. Thank you for attending the class. Okay, have a good day. Thank you.